We can get rolling. I hope you guys are ready. So the first thing I want you to actually do before we even get in to why LinkedIn, I want to get your total buy-in right now. I want everybody to pull up your phone or another tab on your computer, and I want you to Google your name. So just go Google your name. And then over in the chat, I want you guys to share with me how many of you see your LinkedIn profile on the first page. Share with me if you're seeing your LinkedIn profile on the first page. Let me know. Now, you have to have a LinkedIn profile for this to work, but many of you probably somewhere dusted off a resume and okay, cool. Shut the front door, right? Okay, here's the thing I want you to realize. 81% of consumers use the internet to research before purchasing or investing in anything, right? So they're gonna look you up, right? They're going to look you up and what are they finding? And many of you, I don't know how, or let me know how far along you are in your direct sales life. Is it a couple of years, a couple of months? Do some of you have your own websites for your teams? Let me know. What I love about LinkedIn is it becomes your professional hub as a leader in direct sales, because it is the #1 business-to-business platform and is ridiculously discoverable over on Google, right? So when people go to look your name up, are you legit? Are you standing in your power as the business owner you truly are and standing in it with confidence with a professional LinkedIn page? Because let me know in the chat if you don't have your own website, you don't have your own team website. Let me know in the chat how many of you don't have your own team website or branded website. I know for the first couple of years in network marketing, I hinged completely on the company and didn't have my own website. This is a phenomenal way to have your foundation of what would be a discoverable website. You can create very professional written bios that are searchable and discoverable on Google without investing in a website and be on the #1 business-to-business platform, okay? So that I want you to keep in mind. Now, those of you who researched your name, how many of you on a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being it's a hobby, 10 being I want to be 100% financially free in this business, how many of you are, give me a scale 1 to 10, between a 1 and a 10, how committed are you? Okay, cool. If you're fully committed with unshakable doubt that this business opportunity is immense, are you happy with what you see about yourself on the internet when someone is researching you? Are you standing in your power about this industry? Do you truly believe it could change other professionals' lives? And if so, I want you guys to listen on, because this is what I did. I went against the grain and did something totally different, and it works, okay? In your profile, are you speaking to who you serve, how you serve them, and are you casting a vision to them of an opportunity that they can get behind with you, okay? Rhetorical question, just want you guys to think about that. Okay. Thank you for sharing. Yes, that's how I was 3.5 years ago. That was me. I was not leveraging this beast, okay? LinkedIn facts. LinkedIn last year had its highest revenue year ever. I want you guys to let that sink in. Had its highest revenue year ever, and also its highest number of users and engagers on the platform ever. We're going to talk a little bit why in a couple of minutes, okay? Also, out of all the websites in the world, LinkedIn ranks number 23 worldwide. Guys, this is really important because LinkedIn is not just a social media platform. And you guys can write this down. LinkedIn is a search engine. Okay, so people go to LinkedIn to search and seek and network. And I can guarantee you the large majority of you, your audience that you're trying to market and network with are there. They may be in and out to network about a business opportunity or a career shift, but they are there leveraging it as the search engine it's designed to be, on top of it being a social media platform. It's the most underlooked platform in direct sales, okay? Also, it was voted the most trustworthy social media platform by social media users 5 years in a row. You guys can go fact check me on all these data points, okay? Especially over the past 2 to 3 years with everything that has just transpired with everything going on in politics and the economy and all those things, right? Okay, so is everybody wanting to learn a little bit more about LinkedIn now? Okay, so a couple of facts about me, because you're probably like, okay, well, why do I even care to hear about Melissa? Really quick, I'll tell you, 5 years ago, I was in corporate, just 5 years ago, which is crazy to say out loud. I was in corporate. I was burnt out. My executive assistant, Allie, who I think is here on the line, was actually on my network marketing team at the time, so she can attest to this. I was burnt out in a 9 to 5. I climbed the top of Mount Everest and realized I was on the wrong mountain. Anybody else feel that way? And that's why you're pursuing this? Okay, I'm your target audience on LinkedIn. I was a multiple 6-figure income earner who had plenty of cash and no time freedom. I did not control my calendar. Corporate was telling me where I had to go on a plane, when and where, and someone else was raising my children. I started to scale a network marketing business around my 9 to 5. Prior to understanding LinkedIn as my attraction marketing method, I used Facebook and Instagram. Facebook and Instagram got me to 6 figures, but I needed to get to multiple 6 figures to get out of my corporate job. I had a financial responsibility. That was the moment the light bulb went off for me that if I, as a working professional female, who by the way have a doctorate in pharmacy, I have a master's in clinical research, and I was an executive in corporate America, and I was seeing direct sales as an opportunity to get out, surely I couldn't be the only high-performing female who was open to this. But no one else was approaching women on LinkedIn about this opportunity, because I would assume, my assumption is people were intimidated. How many of you feel intimidated to lead with your business on LinkedIn? How many of you are kind of like either fearful you'll be judged, or maybe you're in corporate, or maybe you've left corporate, but you're fearful of what other people would say, what they would think of you, right? I had to get the demons out of my head. First of all, I read Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill, and also the book Tim Ferriss on the 4-Hour Work Week. And between those 2 books, they changed my life for 2 reasons. Two reasons. Think and Grow Rich taught me I needed to burn the ships. If I was going to own this industry, I need to freaking own it without a plan B and go all in with a lot of confidence, right? But also, what I learned from Tim Ferriss was he did a case study on an attorney the book is all about maximizing your time into like 4 hours a week, which I was trying to do because I was scaling a multiple 6-figure network marketing business and still running in corporate. And it was a lot for me. And in his book, he did a case study of an attorney, and his analogy hit me square between the eyes. He said, this particular attorney was solely still in her career 15 to 20 years later because of her ego. She was only in that career because for fear of what others in her profession would think of her when she left. And so therefore she was a miserable cow standing in the rain, enduring her pain for perception of others. And that just hit me in my soul that I was like, wow, I have the ticket to freedom. I've already scaled it to 6 figures. If I can just get this message out to other corporate professionals who are also a miserable cow standing in the rain, just like me, and if I can do it with confidence, maybe I can change a lot of other lives and in the process, truly break free of corporate. So when I got done with those books, I leaned into LinkedIn. I was like, my people, these working professionals have no idea the income producing asset that can be created. They don't understand that it's like investing in a franchise without the overhead and the mass investment. And maybe it just needs to be presented to them in a different way so that they're receptive to it, right? And so I went forward studying LinkedIn. I took everything I knew about attraction marketing that had gotten me a lot of success with product on Facebook and Instagram. And I thought, if I can build authority over there, and I was in a health and wellness company, so I'd really hinged on health and wellness and food and recipes and fitness. I thought, if I can build a personal brand around that, why can't I go to LinkedIn and build a personal brand around creating an online business? Why can't I come across as an educator and an authority in diversified income streams? You guys hear me? Like, it was all about, how do I take what I know over here and how do I market it differently and make it receptive, knowing what my ideal audience wants over on LinkedIn? Make sense? So I went to work and the magic happened. I leaned into LinkedIn. I doubled my network marketing income in less than a year. I fired my boss and I quit publicly on LinkedIn. And the rest was history. From there, I've launched multiple coaching businesses, and we're now at, we did $1 million last year in revenue. This year we've already done $1 million in 3 months. Like, we're on target to do 3.5 to 5 million. Why do I share all of this with you? Because LinkedIn was my magic ticket, because it's an unsaturated market, okay? So let's get into that. Why is it an unsaturated market, right? And this is where I want you guys to take some notes. How can you maximize LinkedIn and understand, hang on one second, I think I skipped. Let me move this way. Hang on one second. We want to go here. Let me move this. Here we go. All right. I don't want to go out of order. How is LinkedIn different? And this is why I really want you guys playing over here. Hear me when I say the large majority of LinkedIn users also have a Facebook and Instagram account. So I'm not saying that it's exclusive that your users are on LinkedIn, but it's all about their mindset and why they're on the platform. So we got to play a little bit into the psychology of the platform, okay? So the actual reason that most people go to LinkedIn today is for trustworthy news, trustworthy content. They go there to network professionally. They're going there to seek opportunities. And we're going to talk about that in a couple of minutes. They're there for thought leadership. If you want to be seen as a thought leader, we need to be putting content out on LinkedIn. They are there for personal and professional growth, okay? And these are the key terms I want you guys to write down. When people go to LinkedIn, they're going to zone in. They're going in to search. They're going in to seek. They're going in to take action, which is the actual polar opposite of why people get on Instagram and Facebook, okay? Outside of trying to grow your network marketing business as an end consumer, share with me in the chat, why do you go to Instagram and Facebook? Share with me in the chat as a personal user, why do you go to Instagram and Facebook? So while you guys are sharing, to scroll, right? I know it's like bad habits. It's the first thing I do in the morning while I'm waiting for my coffee is I'm like going through stories and like watching reels. I'm not ready to take any action. I'm not ready to invest in anything. Like, I also, between calls, right? When I've got 4 minutes between one call and another, what am I doing? I'm going to the gram and getting a dopamine hit. Like, who liked it? Who engaged in it, right? We're going for dopamine hits. We're going to be nosy. We're going to snoop on our ex, whatever it is. But like, by and large, the mindset of the user of Instagram and Facebook is to zone out. And I want you guys to keep that in mind. That same user later in the day is going to LinkedIn to zone in. And this is how I know this. What do you think is the #1 device that is used on Facebook and Instagram? Who knows what the #1 device is for Facebook and Instagram? I'm holding it right here. It's the phone. So we know they're distracted. We know they're multitasking. They could be at a soccer game between innings. They could be in an elevator. They could be on the toilet, right? Like, there's a million things they could be doing, but they're multitasking, right? Those of you that I can see your faces right now, I would assume a lot of you are actually on your computer, right? Your computer, your video is stable. You're locked in. I see Carrie, I see Danae, I see Kelly, like I see Julia. You guys all look like you're on computers. You're attentive, right? So the #1 device for LinkedIn, guess what it is? It's your computer, okay? Same user, different device, okay? So what I want you to envision is the same mom, who's me, getting 3 kids ready in the morning, juggling life, is, killing 2, like scrolling through in the first of the morning, getting my daily dose as I'm waking up with my coffee. I'm not receptive to take action. I'm not receptive to talk business. My mind isn't there. Then I get my kids off to school. I get my workout in. I take my shower, I put my makeup on. I sit down at my computer with my second cup of coffee, clean, and a clean conscience with the chaos out. And now I'm more receptive to what's coming to me in my feed on my directed platform, LinkedIn, where I'm going to do what? To network, to grow personally and professionally, right? Is this landing for some of you guys? Like, right? Okay. So now the other thing I want to talk about is the time frame, when people will time frame. People are on LinkedIn a little bit later in the day, which makes sense because they're typically at work and they're scrolling around, and we'll talk about that. The other thing I want to talk about is age and gender. Now, this is just my own experience. This doesn't mean anything other than this is just what Melissa Hinault thinks, and you can take it with a grain of salt. My personal experience in growing my network marketing business was that women who were a little bit further along, who are in their late 30s or more, who maybe had a child or two and had been in a career long enough to realize it wasn't what they wanted, was actually my ideal audience to talk about building a business. I never had a whole lot of success, and maybe it's because I'm a little bit older, but I never had a whole lot of success creating business builders in their early 20s. To me, it took people who'd lived enough life to be like, this career is not what I want, and I'm motivated to get out, right? So what I love about LinkedIn is the average age is a little bit older. It's 35. That's the average. The average age on Instagram and Facebook is around 21, right? So you have a much larger audience base that you're competing with that may or may not be your audience, right? And the gender is oddly enough, or not oddly enough, it's 1% more men on LinkedIn. So it's 51% men and 49% women. I tended to enroll more men than most people in my direct sales company. I enrolled men who understood the comp plan and really ran with it, right? But I enrolled plenty of women too, but the men really love to talk business, and so do the women, right? Now, the other thing I want to talk about is income level and money mindset and investing power, okay? So the average income, who knows what the average income is on Instagram and Facebook? Anybody know what the average income is? I'll just go ahead and tell you guys, it's about $23,000 a year. That's the average income. The average income on LinkedIn is around 6 figures. So these are working professionals with professional degrees, right? Why does this become important? Well, again, there's no right or wrong to the strategies that you use for LinkedIn. I'm just sharing with you what worked for me. When I first started in direct sales, I thought, well, I'm gonna prospect to people who I think need it. Like, this person needs it. They're down and trodden. They need the money. They need the cash, right? And again, I hope I don't offend anyone, but what I realize is a lot of times people are in that situation because of their own mindset and their lifestyle and their money mindset expectation of what they deserve and their work ethic, right? And what I found was that actually prospecting up instead of prospecting down made huge impact on my business. What I realized was that people who are already making money understand the power of diversified income, multiple income streams, people who make money, like money. I can't tell you how many doctors I have in my LinkedIn coaching program right now that are doing all kinds of multiple businesses, including direct sales, right? But these people understand and know that it takes 7 streams of income to make $1 million. So I learned how to pivot from marketing and networking with people I felt needed what I had to offer, and I shifted and stood in my confidence in marketing to people who had the money mindset that an additional income stream just makes sense, right? And if they're consuming the end product that you're selling in the first place, why not add it into a revenue stream, right? And the other thing is, from an investing power, the money mindset, how many of you guys are challenged with cost objections? How many of you feel like you have no problem getting leads, but then people give you the cost objection to whatever your pack is, your product or your service to get started? That was, when I was marketing over on Instagram and Facebook, that would be my biggest challenge. And Allie can attest to this. I was always recognized in our team as being one of the highest enrollers with our most expensive pack. It was called the value pack, right? Because the people I was networking with are like, what's $500 or $600 to invest in a business? Are you kidding me? Right? Because they were seeing it as an investment in a business, right? So those are the things I want you guys to think about, okay? Now, a couple other things that make LinkedIn fire right now is the lack of saturation. And I'm actually going to walk you through a case study about this in a couple minutes if I have time. But the reality is, even though LinkedIn is having its highest year yet of users, people are still terrified to post. Employees are on the platform lurking all day, every day. We're going to talk about this in a couple minutes, but they're not posting content. If you post content on LinkedIn, you win because no one is. 4%, I want that to settle in, 4% of users post content, even though LinkedIn had its highest year yet of users on the platform. So what that means is, for those of you who are consistently posting content, you win. I often say, listen, I have an Instagram account. I have a Facebook account. Like, I'm omni-channel. I've got YouTube as well. But what I know for sure is that you can win on any social media platform. You truly can. As long as you are consistent by the definition of the platform, you can win, right? When you're on LinkedIn, the definition of consistent is posting 3 to 5 days a week, right? When we're on Instagram, it's a couple of reels a day, 18 stories, in the feed. I actually love doing stories on Instagram. So I'm not like throwing it, I'm not like, I used to hate Instagram, but now I love it. So I'm not trying to throw it in the trash or anything. But when it comes to a return on investment, the amount of time you spend creating content and putting it out, there is no better ROI than a couple of posts a week on LinkedIn, while you're strategically growing your network with your targeted audience that you want to market to. I will say that till I'm blue in the face. It is the best place for visibility, right? So we have the saturation, the algorithms are way less complicated, okay? Who remembers Facebook of 2015 when your grandma or your aunt liked a post and the like of her content showed up in your feed? You remember that? Yeah. So that still happens on LinkedIn because there's so few users, okay? Which means there's massive visibility to other people's networks. And I won't get into that today, but there's massive opportunity for virality of a post for second and third degree visibility because the algorithms are way less complex and there's way less users on the platform. They're just a targeted user, right? Okay. Also, search engine unique to the platform. You can actually search. How many of you are in direct sales companies that are in multiple countries? Let me know in the chat. How many of you are in multiple countries? Yes, Laura. Now, how many of you know that this year your company is going to be opening up in a new country? How many of you know that your company is opening up in a new country, or they recently opened up in a new country? Okay, this is what I love about LinkedIn. You can do targeted searches based off countries and locations to grow your network, to talk about business opportunities. We had a client last year in Canada who grew a massive team in South Africa and never went there, right? And exploded a business through networking on LinkedIn. We've got clients in Australia who will book a ton of consultations in a different country over a concentrated amount of time. And they'll fly up there and just have these interviews one after another in a coffee shop for all these serious business people. And that's the other thing, is in certain countries, network marketing is considered a really, really serious business, right? So it's all about, and it is a serious business, changes lives, and is massive opportunity, right? So just know that there's beautiful search functions on the platform, but also the search function off the platform. So I always talk about LinkedIn being long game, where you're discoverable off the platform, just like when you guys went to Google yourselves and you found yourself off platform with a LinkedIn account. Also, content that you write, especially in the articles section, can be discoverable off the platform as well. If you start writing articles about diversified income streams, about a plan B, right? Maybe about the state of affairs in the economy and the security of having a side hustle, right? Now, the last thing I want to say here before I go to the next slide is that people traditionally think of LinkedIn as a B2B, right? Business to business. But I'm here to tell you, and you guys as business owners, indirect sales should see it that way as well, because you're looking for business partnerships, right? You can also find your customers over there. But where I'm going with this is your ideal prospect could be me. Let me give you a scenario. And it's all in how you market it, okay? When 5 years ago, maybe 6, when the rug got ripped out from under me, I was a medical director in a Fortune 500, GlaxoSmithKline. I covered 2 states as a director, and the company was consolidating our team. We had 12 directors and about 80 medical science liaisons that we managed as a leadership team. We were the most expensive organization of the company because everyone had a doctorate. Everybody was really highly paid. They cut our program significantly. And they told me, congratulations, Melissa, you still get your job. However, we're only keeping 2 directors. So now you have half the country. And I know you have 2 little kids in diapers, but we're going to expect you to be on an airplane 4 days a week indefinitely, right? I got busy doing what? My back was against the wall. I had a multiple 6-figure income. I panicked. And what's the first thing I did? I went to LinkedIn, guys. I went to LinkedIn to start networking and seeing where can I find a different position with a different company where I'm not going to have to travel so much. This is your opportunity to be in my feed, casting me a completely different vision of a way out, right? So I might have gotten onto the platform to research my next job, but you could have hit me square in the eyes with, have you thought about this? How can you take your leadership skills, your ability to lead a geodispersed team, right? How can you take everything you've learned in corporate and run your own freaking business from your house on your own terms, right? And there's still not enough people in direct sales having these conversations publicly on LinkedIn, right? But these people need to hear this, and they need to have hope. There needs to be more voice around this industry with polish, with professionalism and competence, that this is an opportunity that truly can change their life, right? Okay, so with that, how can you maximize your comp plan with LinkedIn? I wanted to talk about this with you guys for a minute. I don't know, Sarah, are all these guys in the same company or all different companies? Okay, cool. So I don't know all your comp plans, but what I do know in general is the way direct sales works is the more you have business builders, like the more geometric progression there is on the comp plan, and you create significant more revenue. If you recruit 5 business builders and they all recruit 10 customers, then you're going to have a much larger business than recruiting 5 customers by yourself, right? So where I'm going with this is that one of the reasons the owner of the company I was with actually hired me to coach the rest of the top performers with the company was because of this. And I want you guys to let this sink in for a second. I was never the top enroller. I'm going to say that again. I was never the top enroller, never even made it on the leaderboard, but always a top income earner. And my business didn't fluctuate. It was like iron. It was like steel. It was like concrete, right? Why is that? Because what was happening was I was getting my captains, I was finding all these people interested in business on my front line in my business, which created a house of steel. Because in general, if you're recruiting people for business, they're way less likely to fall off the wagon when it comes to ordering and consuming, right? And I started to build a foundation out of steel and concrete, and then build on top of that, and then build on top of that, and then build on top of that. What I had done prior to LinkedIn was I'd been really good at recruiting product. I was really good at it over on Facebook and Instagram as a PharmD who was big into health and wellness. I was known for healthy recipes and fitness. I was a hamster on a wheel every month. Like I could bring in 10 new customers every month, but it was exhausting. And I was building an empire that kept sinking on sand. And every month I'd have to go find new customers, and then it would sink on sand. And then I'd have to find new customers. Does anybody relate to that? Can anybody relate to that? Yeah. So when I went to LinkedIn, what I love is it's a B2B platform. You go straight to talking about business. Some will, some won't. Next. Some will, some won't. Next. There's nothing offensive about getting directly into a conversation about a business opportunity, right? And you're getting straight to the chase, and you start building a business with these people, right? And everybody goes and finds customers for sure, or you wouldn't have a business. But I was building my foundation of business builders. So I hope that makes sense. As far as I was never the top enroller, that was never my strategy. It was more to find women like me who are hungry, and build that foundation of concrete and steel instead of sand. And that's how you might maximize your comp plan too, right? Okay, so I want to talk about 3 things that are going on in our current economy that really make it a right place for you guys on LinkedIn, okay? The first thing I want to talk about, so there's disruption shift, there's the gig economy, and then I want to talk about the only B2B social media platform there is that we should all be leveraging, right? So let's start with the global trifecta. What happens? We're going to talk about disruption. I just told you guys my own story, but what happens when the world experiences unprecedented disruption? What happens? So take me as a case. I was miserably comfortable until I wasn't. I was miserably comfortable until the corporation made it unbearable. That was disruption for me. That was the moment in my life I was willing, for the first time ever, to look at another way to make money because I was disrupted, right? This has been happening across the globe for the past 2 or 3 years. Now we have the banks collapsing, like in Silicon Valley, we've got a number of banks falling apart. People are, there's a dip in the economy. A lot of these startups can't make payroll because of the collapse of the banks, right? What I want you to think about is prior to COVID, we had the lowest we had record low unemployment rates. In the same breath, we had record high career dissatisfaction rates. So what that means is prior to COVID, everybody was employed and they hated their jobs, right? And then what happened? COVID hit, and the large majority of people were like, I didn't like that job anyway. And it took disruption for them to realize they didn't like that job anyway. And now we have this booming industry of online entrepreneurs, which, by the way, are a huge market for you. I coach a ton of people inside my academy who left corporate. They're online coaches. They aren't making enough money. They can't make ends meet. And if someone could introduce to them, hey, I love that you're trying to grow a network online and a business online. What if you could also incorporate this business along with it to create some passive, consistent revenue monthly to fill the gaps between your consults and your leads for your business as you're getting it started, right? I know for me, if it wasn't for direct sales, my LinkedIn coaching would never exist. My direct sales income paid all my bills while I launched my coaching business. And it's one of the reasons my coaching business was able to take off, because I didn't have to use a single penny I made in that business to put back into my business, because I had the passive income of network marketing. And that is a message that you guys can be putting out to all these starving entrepreneurs who've recently left corporate. And now they're like, what the heck have I done? I don't want to go back to corporate, but this is not working out exactly how I planned. And you guys can be like, look, I literally have a business in a box with like little risk, little investment. You're already good on the internet and networking. How can we leverage your network to create another income stream, to give you some breathing room, right? So all of that to say, when people question everything, it's when they're open to opportunity like never before, right? And what is amazing about LinkedIn is the data doesn't lie. When the economy dips, activity on LinkedIn goes up. It's called a counter-cyclical activity. It's actually parallel to the network marketing industry in general. When the economy dips, more people are interested, right? Well, when the economy dips, there's also more people active on LinkedIn who might not have historically been active, looking for a different career or just networking for their plan B in case they're a part of the chopping block with all these companies doing mass layoffs. A couple months ago, Amazon laid off a ton of people, right? So are you there? Are you creating a brand and a message for yourself? I scooped up so many amazing women when I went public on LinkedIn, because for months I just talked about why I chose the industry, what it was doing for me. And one by one, these women silently slid into my DMs and started asking about it, right? And so it was that unshakable confidence and belief. Now, here's the thing. When you go into LinkedIn, you can't go timid. You'll get eaten alive. You need to go in with 100% confidence. And that doesn't mean you need to have made $100,000 in your business yet. You could be brand new. You still need to go in with confidence that you've chosen this path and this business because of the future it will create for you. I get this question a lot inside my academy with folks in direct sales, and they say, well, I haven't arrived yet, Melissa. How do I sell it if I don't have the income to back it up, if I don't have the team to back it up? What I tell them is you're no different than the other clients in my program who are looking for investors in their startup. They haven't started their business yet either. And they're pitching an idea to investors to invest in something that doesn't exist yet, right? So it's the confidence in the business plan of the entrepreneur who's putting it out there, who's going to attract the investors. You guys are the same way. It's your confidence in the company. It's your confidence in their trajectory. It's your confidence in what the company is going to do for you and your lifestyle that you're selling. You don't have to be there and say, I made $100,000 this year, right? You just need to be able to speak to your confidence and why you're choosing it, right? Does this make sense? Okay, so we talked about the counter-cyclical activity. Now, the other thing is the Great Resignation. So many people left corporate over the past 2 or 3 years. Now, I've already hit on this a little bit, but all these people who've left corporate have launched. I think your biggest competition right now in direct sales is just the online business space right now. But pre-COVID, I don't think people thought about this as much as they do now. I've never seen as many business coaches and mindset coaches and executive coaches, and like people are just dropping out of corporate like flies to launch their own consulting, right? And their businesses. But the reality is the large majority of them aren't making a lot of money, but clearly they want to be working for themselves. So how do you cast the vision for them? Because by the way, what is their home base? It is somebody's having a good time over there. What are these people who've left corporate? What is their home base for networking? It's LinkedIn. Are you there? Are you visible? Right? Because that's where they are. Okay. So let me see. I want to make sure I didn't miss anything on that one before I go to the next slide. Yep. Okay. So, and then the last one is, the next topic is the gig economy. So the first one we talked about was disruption. The second one we're going to talk about is the gig economy. In a down economy, online entrepreneurship is on the rise. We've already talked about this, but the other thing I want to talk about is people desire remote work more than ever, right? More than ever. On a daily basis, I get referrals for executive assistants. Luckily, I've got an amazing executive assistant, Allie, but prior to hiring her, I had so many people in my DMs when I posted the role on LinkedIn, by the way, of all of these assistants who wanted to work remotely, right? It's more desirable than ever because people got a taste of being able to get their laundry done during the week and meet the general contractor for the things around the house and still work, right? So are you on the platform casting a vision of this could be your work from home business, right? Because I'm telling you right now, people are feverishly looking for it on the platform, right? And then the last thing I wanted to hit on here with the global trifecta, so this is the third of the three of the trifecta, and that is that we, for the first time ever in a down economy, because it was 2008, the last time we had a big dip, and that was before LinkedIn existed. I want that to settle in for you guys. LinkedIn wasn't around. We have a social networking platform for the first time ever in a down economy designed to network and talk about and go straight to conversations about business, right? This is unprecedented. And there's little noise, right? And lots of room for visibility. Now, the last thing I wanted to share with you guys, and then if we have a minute, I'll open up for questions. But I hope this really cast a vision for you of how wide open LinkedIn is. And who's read the book, The Blue Ocean? Yes. Okay. So you're familiar with it. Do you remember, Sarah, the case study around Yellowtail wine? I know there's a ton of studies in there, but this one really stuck out to me. And you guys will understand why in a minute. I'm going to try to be as brief as possible on this because I have a number of slides on it and data that'll probably bore you guys. But as a pharmacist with like a background in data, I love it. But it really talks about how the Blue Ocean looks at market disruptors. How were there certain companies who, in the midst of so many competitors, broke away from their competitors and took the market share, right? And that's the main focus of the book, is how do these people do it? And what they found over and over and over again is that the companies, I should say, that break away find a new market. They don't actually compete with the current market. So what is a red ocean? A red ocean is a shark-infested, bloody water where everyone is trying to do the same thing in a market, trying to compete for the same audience, AKA Instagram and Facebook. Now, what they did, and in a wide open blue ocean, is an ocean of opportunity with little competition. It's a totally new market that's not saturated, right? So what they did as a case study, what Yellowtail wine did was unprecedented in the wine industry. The bottom line is, prior to Yellowtail, wine was complex, it was difficult to understand, and there was a lot of deep pockets. There was a couple of huge wine companies with super deep pockets to market who pretty much owned the industry and the complexity of wine, right? AKA influencers and people with deep pockets paying for ads to be seen on social media. You got your influencers on Instagram and Facebook. You got your deep pockets for ads, just like the top echelon of the wine industry. What Yellowtail decided to do was they looked at the aggregate number of alcohol consumers, and the large majority of the US actually consumed wine and mixed drinks that were super sweet. So the large majority of the country didn't even like wine. Because it was too complex and they felt like there was too much education that had to happen to buy it. So Yellowtail decided, we're not going to compete with this hoity-toity wine industry. We're going to make a super simple, sweet, non-complex, generic wine that everybody understands, and we're going to target the beer and cocktail drinkers. Why am I sharing this with you? They didn't compete on Instagram and Facebook. They went and created their own market, and let me show you what happened, okay? So these are the low-grade wines, budget wines that were competing, and this is the premium wines. And what happened, this little wine right here is Yellowtail. Yellowtail took off with their marketing campaign, simplified wine, made it sweet, and they didn't cannibalize. What I want you to understand is they didn't cannibalize the wine industry market. They created their own, AKA they went to LinkedIn where there was a wide open market, and they became the fastest growing brand in the history of wine in the United States and Australia. They became ultimately the #1 imported wine in the US, surpassing all wines, including France and Italy. So just let that sink in for a minute when we think about Facebook and Instagram as a red ocean, that yes, we can all be successful there, but it does take, there are a lot of other people doing it with you. You're in a red ocean, right? And you can be a big fish in a small pond if you go over to LinkedIn. You create your own new market like Yellowtail did, right? So how many potential clients could you be missing? How many busy mom corporate professionals that don't have time to zone out, you're totally missing? But if you were to be posting on the right platform in a way that she's receptive, that you could actually get her attention without all the noise and build with concrete, right? Instead of sand as you grow and scale your business. So with that, I will say, creating authority and a distinguished brand on LinkedIn is one of the most powerful, strategic, and efficient ways to generate leads in business while getting your time back and creating quantum growth in your business and your income. Now I'm happy to open up for questions. There's so much I could, I'll just answer questions. What I do have is a little checklist. I think you have it, Sarah, but this is, so
everybody take out your phones right now and scan the code. I'm going to get it too into the group, but everybody take out your phones and scan the code. I'm also going to put your handle in the thing too. Go ahead.
Yeah, and there I can drop the checklist right there. The thing about the checklist to reduce like confusion, I created this checklist for all of you guys. If you can just spend 15 to 20 minutes a day with this checklist, we call it Coffee with LinkedIn, right? And you follow through and you're consistent for about 3 months. You've got to build your network, you've got to build your brand, you've got to build a little bit of credibility. You will quickly see the return on investment on being on that platform. It's an amazing place to build authority in your space for teaching professionals how to build an income producing asset. I am forever indebted to LinkedIn and this industry because it was the two of them that broke me free of corporate and gave me the life that I get to live today. Okay, so what questions do you guys have?
This is so powerful. And I just have to say this. So this is cool. There's a lady on here. She's one of the top in our company. And she said she was prospected on LinkedIn by a stranger. I mean, there's so many takeaways. And first of all, let me just ask y'all to share your takeaways here. If you have a question, we have till the top of the hour. So real fast, you got to put it into the Q&A tab versus chat. But let me just say this. I loved what you said, Melissa. I mean, I have so many pages of notes here, but LinkedIn being a reverse economy, because so are we, the direct selling industry. The thing I want everybody to make a shift here with what Melissa shared today is, why are we a reverse economy in direct selling, right? Because yes, we service products all the time, right? So she said, great outlets, Facebook, Instagram, all the things, but what are people on LinkedIn there for? Opportunity. We service a product and opportunity. And the reason why we rise during a downturn, my business was built in the recession of 2008, is because people are looking for your opportunity. And so here I am going, this is powerful. We service opportunity. By the way, Melissa, I believe the whole network marketing industry needs to hear from you. So I'm going to be sharing you with all of my friends, but there are professionals there. So you don't, these are not personal conversations you're having, slide in the DM of your best friend, right? People are there actively looking and they're open to opportunity. And you all say this, some of you are in big companies. How do I get to an unsaturated market? You just learned how. Polina said, takeaway, looking at LinkedIn as a new opportunity to grow and to really talk to the right people. So I love that. Let me just ask you a quick question, Melissa. If somebody were to start, besides setting up a profile, what would you say, like the top 1 or 2 things that they could do to start just taking action today?
Yeah, so good. So first of all, even with setting up your profile, the number one mistake people make is they set it up from habitually like an employee would, telling like your life story and your career history. And I don't want you to do that. In your profile, in the first part of the summary, you really need to talk about who you serve, why you serve, and how you serve. Even start with a pain point if you want, if you know you're like the pain point of your ideal audience. You know, what happens when corporate professionals hit burnout or XYZ? Like ask them a question and then talk about, casting a vision and what you can do to serve them. The number one mistake people make is they basically take their resume because they feel like they're supposed to like treat it like they used to with LinkedIn. And they have this like chronological order of their professional history, and like way down buried somewhere is like the opportunity. The opportunity needs to be up top and center with confidence. Right. And I love to say I'm mentoring and give a limit of a number, like book a discovery call to help us to start determine if you're a good fit. Right. You have to remember these people are working professionals who are used to a competitive environment. So we want to kind of play that game, if you will, too. And it's not even necessarily a game. I mean, I got to a point where we had automations to pre-qualify leads. You can have a little discovery call link with like Calendly, where people have to actually fill out survey questions to be like fitted for a fitted call to have a chat with you. So I think those are some things to think about when you come onto LinkedIn, is like standing in your power as a business owner. And then as far as being successful on the platform beyond the profile, your headline is everything that follows you everywhere. To this day, I have corporate dropout in there. People love that. How can you catch attention? If your headline sounds like everybody else's, you're not going to stand out. And the two things that really have to happen beyond an optimal profile is you need to be strategically growing your network on a daily basis with your ideal audience. So for me, when I first started, it was because I was a pharmacist, right? I had a doctorate in pharmacy. I grew my network with female pharmacists and middle-aged pharmaceutical sales reps and medical science liaisons in the pharmaceutical industry, because they were my target market and I had some common ground with them, right? So some of you are working professionals or were working professionals. If you're like, where do I start? It's Pandora's box. I could market to everyone on LinkedIn. Start with maybe what you have common threads with. Like I could have marketed to everyone, but I started with women in pharmacy and talked about our college loans. I didn't really share this with you guys, but the first 150,000 I made in the first year and a half in direct sales went exclusively to my college loans and paid them off. So I spoke to that, and that was common ground that I had with other pharmacists, right? And then I worked my way through pharmaceutical reps, and I worked my way through people in medical science liaison space, because that's what I was in. So growing a targeted network, but then posting content. But remember, some of you are really, really good at your own brand and authority for your products on Instagram and Facebook. And what I would challenge you to do or encourage you to do is, how can you take that consistency and tenacity over there and have the similar exercise on LinkedIn, but the end product that you're selling is a business. It's not the product, it's the business. So how do you take what you're doing over there and bring it over to LinkedIn in a way that attracts them to you by talking about the business? Does that answer your question?
Yes. And a lot of people ask questions about like specifically what to post. I love what you said. It's focusing on the opportunity. It's the why and the what, right? Why did I choose this? And what is it doing for me, really, with that confidence? For those of you struggling on the words that work, we're going to do that on our workshop on April 17th, more on just professional prospecting language, posting, all that good stuff. There's one other question that came up a few times from people, so we'll try and, I know we got to go here in just a minute, but we want to do a picture and promo with you. If they have a corporate job and they have to be more careful about what they post, any tip with that?
Yeah, I've been there. And even my previous business coach, she scaled $1 million a year consulting business in the DMs of LinkedIn while she was a corporate executive. So you absolutely can do it. I started by being in the DMs. I didn't go public on LinkedIn until I quit my job, but I was still using LinkedIn. So what I did, remember, LinkedIn is a search engine. So I strategically searched and connected with people. And instead of it being in the feed, my request to connect would say, hey, I see that you're in the pharmaceutical industry as well. Would love to connect. I'm curious, how are things going in your work environment? Boom, conversation starts. And then there's the back and forth until we get to the pleasantries of, would you be open to taking a look at an additional income stream? I see that you've got great leadership skills, XYZ. It all happened in the DMs until I quit. So I was in a really highly regulated Fortune 500 that people were looking for reasons to fire people. Remember, there was only 2 of us left whenever I started doing this. 10 of them were already fired. So I was in a really highly regulated role too, if that helps.
That is so good. Find that commonality, reason to connect, and then those curiosity questions. So good. All right, guys.
Okay, well, that is session 1 on LinkedIn. There is another one, and that is, as she mentioned, the next step now of where do you find people? What do you say to them? How do you work it? Now, guys, LinkedIn is super easy to use. I've been sitting for the whole hour on LinkedIn, just finding people to connect with. All I did is I went into the search bar and I put in affiliate marketers. And I'm not kidding you, I reckon I've connected with 100 at least. I'm busy talking to one lady now who looks absolutely incredible. She's in the States, and her profile said, I'm searching for my next opportunity. I'm a growth marketer and a specialist affiliate marketer. So I'm talking to her. So absolutely, LinkedIn is a gold mine. A gold mine. Get to know it. Now, don't drop Facebook and drop Instagram. Still do what you got to do there. Talk to your people. Talk to so many a day. follow up, go back, but add LinkedIn. And I will make sure we share in the next few minutes in our global chat the LinkedIn training I did last year on how to set up your profile. Super easy, guys. It gives a bit of instruction on what you should put in where. Go and watch that if you don't yet have a profile. But yes, LinkedIn is a really good one to get onto.